did your husband's expectations for your body go way too far? My husband Lars scheduled my first surgery on our wedding anniversary, and when I woke up missing 2 toes, he said, "Happy anniversary, Diana. Now you'll always fit in your wedding shoes." Our marriage had always revolved around his obsession with perfection. He met me when I was 19 working as a fit model, and he would tell people that I was anatomically perfect. Lars would spend hours taking measurements of my body with a tailor's tape, recording numbers in a leather journal. He made me weigh myself every morning and would celebrate when the scale showed the exact same number as our wedding day. "Other women let themselves go after marriage," he would say, "but you're going to stay exactly as perfect as the day I married you." When I gained 3 pounds during the holidays, Lars cried into his pillow for an hour, then hired a personal trainer who made me exercise until I collapsed. Throughout my pregnancy, I managed to keep him calm by reminding him that any weight gain would be reversible, but I wasn't prepared for my feet to grow a half size and not go back to how they were. Apparently it's normal, something about your joints relaxing. But Lars was inconsolable. He found a doctor who specialized in corrective foot surgery for dancers. Lars told me that removing my 2 smallest toes would restore my feet to their original size. He scheduled the surgery without telling me and said it was just a routine checkup. But when I woke up and saw my bandaged feet, I realized what he had done. "Don't be upset," he said when I started crying. "Now they'll always be exactly the same size as when we got married, and we can move on to fixing other areas that have changed. Perfection requires maintenance, and I'm going to make sure you never lose what made me fall in love with you." My feet were deformed, and I couldn't walk more than a few steps without needing something to cling to for support. Taking care of the baby was almost impossible, but Lars didn't care about that. All that mattered was that my shoes fit again. For the next few months, Lars became increasingly aggressive about correcting parts of my body. He scheduled surgeries to remove sections of my ribs that he said were expanding my waist measurement. He hired medical professionals who would perform procedures in a makeshift operating room in a lab he rented. When I tried to refuse the surgeries, Lars would lock me in the basement while our baby sobbed upstairs and say, "You're going to thank me when you're the only woman in the world who never ages or changes." But one day Lars took things too far. He calmly informed me that he'd noticed that my left arm was 2 centimeters longer than my right. He said it was ruining my symmetry, and he had no choice but to remove the arm. I balked, asking him how exactly having an arm on one side but not the other would make me more symmetrical. He couldn't come up with an adequate answer, and finally he snapped, "I just don't want you taking up so much space." Then he showed me detailed plans for removing various body parts over the next few years. That's when I realized that this had nothing to do with maintaining a perfect figure. He just wanted me smaller by any means necessary. When I told him I wouldn't let him cut off my arm, he said, "You don't get to make decisions about your body anymore, Diana. I own you, and I'm going to make you exactly what I want you to be, even if I have to take you apart piece by piece." I managed to escape 2 days later during one of my medical appointments and went straight to the police, where I showed them my mutilated feet and told them about Lars's plans. The officers were horrified and immediately arrested Lars and the doctors who had been performing illegal surgeries in our makeshift hospital. I felt like I could finally take a breath, knowing that no more pieces of my body would be stolen and that my baby and I had a shot at freedom. But just when I thought my nightmare was over, Lars got out on bail, and then he completely lost control. He showed up at my workplace with a meat cleaver screaming, "I'm not done fixing you yet." He grabbed my hand and chopped off my ring finger before security could stop him, then stood over me yelling, "Now you can't wear that wedding ring on your disgusting fat finger anymore," as I bled on the floor and writhed in pain. The workplace attack was witnessed by dozens of people and recorded on security cameras, giving prosecutors all the evidence they needed. Lars was immediately arrested and charged with assault with a deadly weapon, and this time there was no bail and no way for his family's lawyers to explain away what he had done. The judge sentenced him to 15 years in prison, and I finally felt safe knowing he couldn't hurt me anymore. Lars was convicted of assault, false imprisonment, and medical fraud, while I underwent reconstructive surgery to repair some of the damage. I'm now 31 years old and learning to live with my permanently altered body while raising my daughter as a single mother, but I still have nightmares about waking up with more pieces missing. And if anyone ever tells her she's taking up too much space, I can't be held responsible for how I react.